Hey guys, so today I'll be taking you to the code base of the Dear Diary app, which I had built. And interestingly, when I was building this app actually stands very close to my heart because I'm a big fan of a journaling habit. And I felt journaling is a very important factor for mental health. And you might ask me why? Because journaling allows us to give a reflection, or it's just a reflection of our past self, right? How can we move forward without even correcting our mistakes? In our what I discovered in life was that our mistakes have a repeatable pattern, right? And this repeatable pattern needs to be find out. Like we need to aggressively work upon these repetitive pattern and our mistakes, and we must keep reminding ourselves that hey, okay, we are lacking over here. What is our emotional state? What is our emotional strength, and so on. So that's why I felt making this app will stand a very it will provide a very great benefit to the society. So on the surface, it might feel that, hey, how can just journaling be make my life better? But try to understand one thing. How does a friend help you? A friend helps you by listening to you, first of all. A good friend is a very good listener as well, right? We all have that friend. But the second thing about is that a good friend also provides a valuable feedback. But that's not it, guys. That's not it. As we are moving towards the digital age, right? Our friend might not have different kind of exposure. So the feedback which might be provided by a friend might not be, absolutely correct, right? And the next thing over here is that we are not keeping track of the progressions. Because what might happen is that, let's say that we went out of feelings to someone, we went out some thoughts to someone, yeah, we might forget that. We might completely forget that. And what might happen is that we might not even keep track of that. And again, we're going to commit the same mistake. And again, we are going to fall in the same trap. So how do we keep that? How do we help on these things? So the very basic thing you need to do is that you need to journal. And right? But journaling alone is not enough. Writing diary is alone not enough. Like, okay, I missed on these things, I missed on that thing. No, those things are not important. Most important part is that what did you learn from it and how are you practicing it over the period of time? So that's why I felt there's a need to improve the mental health, and the way to improve mental health is by developing a smart AI diary app. But the very next thing which I discovered was that all of these AI models which are deployed, they currently do not offer any privacy, right? Because they might be taking their data, right, our emotional state data, our emotional signature data, and this data might be sent over some servers, right? And that becomes a concern for us, right? How can we just vent something which is very personal to us to a diary? How can we vent something which is very close to us? Like you can think about any personal close problems or which you might be facing, anything related to that. So we as a human being, especially I do not feel very comfortable to discussing some related problems to an AI model which is deployed online, right? And that's why I felt Gemma 3N is a perfect use case for this. Why? Because Gemma 3N can run locally on your Android environment, and based on that Android environment, it can just run smoothly and can provide you valuable feedbacks. So this is what I discovered important in this one, right? So having a local LLM which is able to understand you, provide some valuable feedback, and at the same time having all this discussion and improving on yourself, that's where the Dear Diary app comes through, right? Let's go through the code piece and let's discover many different applications which I had developed over here. So the very basic thing which I did while development of this app was that I first developed the entity relationships, or you can see the data logic. So the very basic fundamental unit of Dear Diary is called an entry. Okay, an entry is just basically like you're just creating a text and it just stores the basic information, right? But moreover that, I wanted some kind of different analysis. So what I did, I developed a foreign key, obviously, and I developed a diary analysis. And this diary analysis will be associated to our diary entry over here, right? Because we are establishing a relationship over here. So this is how I developed the very basic diary analysis. Now, what does this diary analysis consist of? It consists of mood, confidence, summary, reflection questions, and stuff like that, right? And all of this, once the data model was defined, I then moved on to diary with tags, right? So what is a tag? Now, tag is a very basic unit over here. Now, as as you might see over in this right side of my screen, so these are tags, like these are interview, failure, practice. So each entry is associated to a tag as well. So again, a foreign key, and again we have a tag which is associated to it. Now again we have a diary with tags and so on. So this is the very basic thing which I developed at the initial start. And upon the rest of the things are based on these small data logic which I had built upon. Now we had a diary DAO interface which allows us to provide different kind of updates to our database. And for this given, I'm using Room database, right? And as you can see, I have different interfaces provided to insert the entry, update the entry, delete the entries, and so on. But yep, and that's all about it. Now for a user entity, I developed the same thing, that is name, mood, color, sensitivity level, thinking level, learning style, writing style, and emotion strength, signature, and so on. And same thing which I provided for the user DAO as well. Now, finally, I developed a diary database for this thing, as simple it may sound. Then, the most important, the most interesting thing which I developed was that the Gemma app, how to integrate the LLM model. Now, as you can clearly see over here, is that I'm currently using a Gemma 3N 2B, which I deployed to this given app. So, just to show you where's the Gemma sitting here right now. So, currently, as you can see over here, I've just opened the uh, device explorer site, and in this device explorer site, you can clearly see that I have a int task which is deployed. And when I do any ping over here, when I ping write and give an entry, you can clearly see that the it will invoke the write logic over here. So let me just clearly show you how this works. Let's say that I type a given entry. Hey, I am feeling good today. As soon as I typed it, you can clearly see that an entry is being created by the LLM, and we can see a response which is generated in the JSON format. Now, this response will be passed via Gamma parser, which I have written it everything. And this Gemma parser will just pass the given string file, which is provided by the LLM. And after this LLM gets processed, this eventually gets saved to our database. And at the same time, this also gets reflected to our uh, the initial UI. So as you can clearly see that the entry also summarizes the positive emotional states, and it also summarizes that, hey, I'm just feeling good today, right? And these are the different states which is associated with this given entry over here. And we can clearly see that we have some reflection at this point as well, which shows that what specifically contributed to feeling good today, and what self-suggestions we can focus on for this thing. And all of this are and developed on the go, like it is generated on the go. So the next thing which I'm also doing over here is that I have developed a calendar app which just maintains a streak across through it. So as you can clearly see that we have a streak on the 6th of August, and we have just made an entry for the entry of August 7th, which is that, hey, I'm just feeling good. So that's all about it, about the calendar app. So as the calendar is nothing fancy, but all of this, I think so, is powered by the Gemma 3N, and it's really, really powerful. When you see the inference time, it's really quick, and it can just inference on the go itself. So I urge you to try this app, and you can absolutely feel that, hey, you're actually talking to some person who's able to provide some actual feedback without worrying about with because the data will be always sitting on your local devices, and you do not have to worry about anything. So that is the power of the Gamma 3N, and that's how the Gamma 3N powers my Dear Diary app. Now we can just move ahead and we can discuss about the different fields over here. Since I discussed the Gemma client is initialized using the media pipe over here, which you can clearly see at this point. And the media pipe is used to initialize this. As you can clearly see that I'm using LLM inference, and I think so, yeah, this is where the media pipe is coming from the picture. So currently the LLM model which I'm using is supports only text, and I have not integrated the image classifier as part of this. I do have tried importing some images, but currently, I'm still in the experimental phase where I will just continue to explore how can we leverage the whether when a user uploads a given photo, and we can analyze that given photo for this given app. Right? So we are just going to go ahead and see what all different things. So this is just a general prompt which is generated across different things. So as you can see, all of this is happening in real time, and you can even see over here that the rest of the things like as I discussed that the user entity is also getting created, and all of this as the user as you make an entry, it's also gonna update your profile as well. Think of it that each person has a unique emotional signature to it, and this emotional signature is important because this helps you to define what is your emotional strength, what is your emotional weaknesses, and this comes very handy when you are dealing with improvement upon yourself. So couple of things which I did over here was that I generated a JSON response and just passed this, and finally I was able to provide a clean JSON and provide an update to the user entity model. So all of this happens in an async call because I do not want it to I do not want the the main app to freeze while the user profile is getting updated or not. So that is something which I had done over here. And the user profile will get asynchronously updated as we continue to make an update, right? So it's not updated very quickly, but it because each entry you make is going to decide that, hey, how your emotional signature. Just one making one single entry does not mean that your user profile, your learning style, thinking style is going to change on the fly. Or so that's where I have written various logics, which is part of the user view model, right? And I have written various logics as part of the diary view model as well. So currently, I discussed only the the diary app, the data interface app, which with you guys. But I've also written out a couple of code section where we define the diary view model, which is the different view model which I have defined for for this dear diary. And as you can see clearly see over here, that I had to run a lot of things. I have to I have to make the state flow because because every single entry which we're going to make is going to be updated the UI on the fly. So our the UI, the home screen UI has to keep track of the new entries which is generated, and we have to. So this is where the mutable state flow and the state flow comes into the picture. So that's where I've developed these given things, and right. And after that, when the parsing logic completes, we are going to make a atomic database entry, and after making that, we are going to kickstart our emotional signature journey, where we asynchronously update our emotional signature user profile. And this is where the deep dive view model is consisting of, and this will take care of rest of the logic as part of how the user and the diary view model is going to take place. And currently, I've exposed the same set of functions from the user view model as well, as you can see over here. And I have defined a factory model for these guys. And yeah, there is certain relation between the diary view model and the user view model, because each entry when we make, right, each entry when we make, the user view model will not go and update itself, because the user view model will actually depend upon the diary view model to make an update. So then that's where the things gonna happen over here, right? Because as I said earlier over here, that the diary view model is responsible to it will get the first entry, and then it will perform the asynchronous call at this point onwards. So after performing the asynchronous call, this will generate a user emotion signature async, and upon that it will call the user view model functions accordingly, as you can see over here. So as you can see that update mood colors and everything is going to is apparently called by the DRV model, but the user view model just exposes these given functions. And right now I have not introduced filter, but I plan to introduce filter in the later section of my. But as you can clearly see over here is that I have initialized a basic Gemma initialized, and I have also defined a diary view model which takes a user view model, DAO, Gamma, DB, and some other interfaces over here at this point. And further, this is just a basic main activity app, as you can see over here. Now, the final thing, which is the UI, which I had to spend some lot of time just to write the UI part, is where the things gets very messy, but it's actually what makes the UI very much interesting. So I wanted to keep the color, which is very similar to the Gemini thing, right? So let's not deep dive into use UI and everything, but just this was to show you how this app was actually running. And the entire logic, there are different UI components and the view model components, which is taking care of how the tag clouds and everything is getting updated on the fly. So that's pretty much about it, as you can see over here. But this app is actually very interesting because this app gives you a series of tag clouds which is associated to yourself. Like you can see that I'm feeling positive because I just made an entry that, hey, this entry, I'm feeling just good today. So as you progress in you can assess to your emotional clouds, or you can say the tag clouds, which is being created on the fly as you write more entries towards it, right? And it also gives tracks of the different mood which is associated throughout it. So my current mood, as you can see over here, is that it's positive. And for the latest entry which I had put over here, you can see that the blue color, actually I have not written it out here. The blue color means the positive mood, and the red color means a very bad mood. Okay, so as you can clearly see over here is that now my mood is currently very good, and all of this is actually powered by the LLM, the Gemma 3 in itself. So as you can see over here, we are also providing a stress level, the average confidence, and the different moods which we are eventually tracking of. So now, right now, I'm currently stress free because I have completed writing out down this app from end to end, and this is very good. right? And as you can clearly see over here, as we had talked in this thing actually gets updated on the fly itself. So as you can see, my current mood is actually positive. I'm writing in an optimistic way, and my writing style is a pretty simple and a direct, conveying, straightforward, right? It makes sense also. So yeah, here's the different emotional signature which I've associated to it. So currently you can see that we are generally optimistic and positive. So these are the areas to grow. So as I told you guys, each entry is not going to update the personality profile. It depends on how the entry and entire logic is actually sitting in the code itself. So you do not have to worry about it. But my point is that each entry does not mean that your personality profile will change all of a sudden. It depends upon certain set of logic and certain set of calls, and so because I have written some of the complex logic as part of the user DAO interfaces and DAO interfaces and some kind of complex queries, and just to ensure that we are aligning with the right user profile and we are making the right call to the yourself, right? So all of this is actually powered by the Gemma 3N, and I'm actually thankful for them to providing this model to and making this pretty much open source so that we can, as an Android user, we can run this app on our devices, and we can just track our given entry. So I'll urge you guys to go ahead and try this out, and this will be really helpful for you guys. Thank you.